everyone, how's it going? I am iamxeracon here with another video, and I am just really excited to be talking about this right now because there's so much hype going on uh, that, I am just really excited for this, and that is E3. Um, I think ever since sometime earlier, well, no, I want to say that maybe since, March, April, that's when the hype maybe like most likely, I guess, like late March, early April, that's when the hype started to build up. And I've been really, just really been anticipating this year's E3. Definitely more so than last year's E3. And last year's, I was sort of a meh. I mean, I didn't really care too much about last year's E3. But this year's E3, I definitely believe, contains more hype um, than last year's. And it's, I guess in some cases it's not, hard to see why, because so much is happening that, you know, it's just so much to talk about. So I'm going to talk about a lot of the companies that are going to be at E3, and talk about what they most likely are going to bring, and then what I think they could bring, or sort of like what I want to bring, or then what other people think might be there, and then, stuff like that. So I'm going to start now with Sony. And to get this out of the way, I'm going to just talk about right now the believed possibility that the PS5 coming out next year. And if it is coming out next year, then that would mean that they would most likely, talk about it this year at E3. Now, I do not believe that the PS5 is coming out next year, and I do not believe it's going to be announced at E3. And most likely why is because of the fact that it's too early for the PS5. I mean, you could say, yes, the Scorpio's coming out, and Sony needs to counter that, but they really don't need to. I mean, if you look at the fact that they have a larger install base than Microsoft and the Xbox right now, they're doing well. I mean, they are potentially going to outsell the PS2. I think they might have already outsold the Wii, but I'm not sure yet. I don't know what the numbers are like, but if they haven't outsold it, they are pretty much close to doing that. Um, so, you know, there's no need for them to go ahead and try to, just move over and abandon this install base that they already have. And the fact is also, the PS4 Pro just came out last year, and so, you're going to be offending a lot of people who bought the Pro, and then you're announcing this new console, even though, yes, it's supposed to be a mid-gen upgrade. But to be honest, I feel like these mid-gen upgrades have been sort of a waste, have been horrible. And I mean, yes, you could say that they added better graphics, and they added better stability. PS4 had the boost mode, so that games can now run, I think, or at least some games can run at a solid 1080p, 60 frames per second. Um, but I really have no reason to believe that if you had a PS4, you should go out and buy a PS4 Pro, or like with the Xbox One and the Xbox One S. They didn't add anything new other than maybe some stability for the games and stuff, but there were no games for either ones that were built solely for it. And I've even had a friend who's played the PSVR on a regular PS4. Even though the PS4 Pro is supposed to be, I think, what from what I heard was supposed to be better at running the PSVR, and so it was recommended that you get the PS4 Pro for the PSVR. But he said that when he played it, it ran well, and there was no need for him to get a PS4 Pro. Um, so yeah, so I definitely don't think the PS5 will come out. If Sony, I believe Sony's going to announce something, or it will come out like 2019, 2020. That's like a good time probably for the PS5 to come out or be announced. So that's how I feel about that. Um, as far as far on the subject of PSVR stuff, they could do some stuff, but I'm not sure right now. Virtual reality is, even though I've seen a couple of new like sort of games coming out for it, VR is such a niche market right now. There's not too much that's really just going to grab people and have people just invest their time in the game. And personally, I guess on my perspective of it, VR is great a uh, in a in a fictional setting. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was younger, I loved like the concept of being in a game. But there's one thing that I never realized until I thought about recently was the fact that VR is a first person perspective scenario. You are uh, seeing things from your point of view. And the cool thing I thought about, or like one thing I always thought about like being in a video game, is the fact that you look cool, which means that you want to see yourself. You don't want to be seeing the world through your eyes. You want to see your own avatar going against the world around you. I mean, yes, being in that world and fighting is cool and all, but if you think about it, like now, I know I might get a flack for this because I know this isn't the only scenario, but if you look at Sword Art Online, it looks cool from a third person perspective, and it doesn't look as cool from a first person perspective. Also, in a third person perspective, you can also see everything that's going around you. Although, like I said, if you're in a first person, even like in real life, you do not see everything that's going on around you. I mean, I can only see what's going on around me if I'm looking at a mirror or something like that, or through a camera that sees behind me. But there's no way that you can actually see what's going on around you, and that's what I like about these stories. The fact that yes, I could be engaging around in a virtual reality world, but it's not going to be as fun because I'm not going to be able to see like my own custom character or whatever, and that's partially why don't like. And also, like I also like traditional controllers. I like being able to pick up something like this and playing with it. I don't like motion controls and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think there will be too much, if anything. As far as games, I have a feeling if Sony wants to at least gain some traction, they'll definitely talk about God of War and they'll have a release date for that. Um, they'll have the Spider-Man game. People might have even forgotten about the Spider-Man game, but if they mention it, or even like have something, then they can gain some relevance with that game. Um, Here's something that will definitely, I think, could help them win E3 would be The Last of Us 2. I know that's been in development. They've talked about making it a sequel, but if they mention that, that could really uh, help them out at E3. And also, even though they haven't mentioned anything about this, and there's a possibility, although it hasn't been confirmed, is Until Dawn 2. That's a game which I played some of it, and I've seen the rest of it, like didn't play, and it's a phenomenal game, and it's pretty solid, um, and it had great potential. There could be a sequel. Now, the only thing I didn't like about Until Dawn is the fact that there was a supernatural aspect of it until like that part was introduced. It felt like you actually had complete control of the situation because you would still face a killer even though he was human. You could still do certain things and stuff like that, and it really felt like a solid classic horror film, even if it was just brought into a more contemporary setting. It still felt like I said, the classic horror film. So hopefully they'll bring that back, and maybe that it'll have a complete new cast of characters, which I think would be a good thing to do. Is have a new roster of characters and stuff, and a sort of a new scenario. But like I said, it still would be like a classic horror film, I think. But that could also help them. Now, as for Microsoft, um, they're really gonna have to step up to the plate with this year's presentation, because yes, the Scorpio is a powerhouse, which has been revealed. Um, it's not going to be, it shouldn't be, or I guess from my perspective, it shouldn't be, but you can't have that be your driving force if there's nothing to back it up. So they're definitely gonna need games, and unfortunately, Halo 6 was 343 said that Halo 6 will not be there. So I'm really bummed out about that, because especially since they're talking about going back to their roots with this, especially with split screen co-op, that I think would really help them out there. And unfortunately, that's one I think the best things that they could do, because uh, Voodoo Vince and Phantom Dust aren't going to be big sellers. I mean, they could have a following, but they're not going to be something that can really help the Scorpio take off. And also, even though Microsoft um, doesn't want to do this, they need to have games for the Scorpio that aren't on the Xbox One. Um, and they need, even though Phil Spencer said it's for premium gamers who want a premium experience, that right there tells you, you're not going to be getting the large number of you're not going to create a large install base with that thought process. I mean, not everyone's going to want to buy a new Xbox just so they can have, prettier graphics and stuff like that. Um, I mean, that's just not logical. Now, one thing which I thought about, now, mentioned this before, and someone in a comment, this was in a video I saw, and I mentioned this in the comment section, was the fact that Scalebound could be revived, because I'm not sure if they mentioned, if one of the reasons why it was canceled that was due to technical limitations of the Xbox. But if they can, bring Scalebound to the Scorpio, that would be great. I mean, you could have a nice, good exclusive game made for the Scorpio, and it could also be an incentive for people to buy it. I mean, it's just one game, but it's pretty good incentive, I guess, for people who are dedicated enough, or for those who don't even have regular Xbox One yet. Um, but they mentioned that Scalebound's pretty much dead at this point, and the only way that it could sort of be revived is if Platinum Games, revived it under a new name and stuff like that, and did that with uh, Sony or Nintendo. But yeah, that's pretty much where I believe that Microsoft stands at this point. Now, they might have some sort of ace up their sleeve that they're really trying to save for the last moment, but they better have one. Otherwise, this is just going to be a flop for E3. Now, as far as Nintendo, there are quite a few different things, or a lot of things that are occurring. Um, the fact that they really have no actual E3 presence and are just going through direct presentations and stuff like that, that's gonna be their biggest thing, which is okay, but I mean, I know that they've been shying away from E3, and right now it's mostly going to be like tournaments and stuff, but it would still kind of be nice if they did something at E3 for people who are there. Now, something that I think might possibly be there announced, or at least announced, uh, are going to be updates and online information. So stuff like, you know, we'll know stuff about um, online play and stuff like that. Prices and stuff. What we're going to be getting, the full features of paying for online and all that stuff. We'll know all that information. And there were rumors that uh, the Switch was going to have compatibility with the Wii U Pro controller and a GameCube uh, adapter. So, like, if you want to play Smash, which would sort of lead you to believe that Smash Deluxe is going to be brought over for the Switch. Um, because I definitely don't believe that a new Smash is going to be announced or even made. But that would definitely lead to the belief that there could be a Smash Deluxe. So if those are going to happen, I believe they definitely would be announced at E3. And then there's also the Rainware app. If they are going to go through and have people stream uh, Steam games onto the Switch, that would also be a good time for them, or that would be their ideal time for them to announce it, because they wouldn't announce something like that beforehand, because they've really been trying to, keep all eyes on them, which is why they haven't done certain things, or they have certain directs, but then, otherwise information is not coming to us from them. Now, Of course, we'll have Splatoon. We'll probably have some Super Mario Odyssey. In fact, there are supposed to be demos there. I think they might have some Fire Emblem Warriors announcements, or maybe even the new Fire Emblem 2018 game. Uh, they might have some sort of clip for that. Now, there's probably also going to be, some maybe the actual Pikmin 4 that was promised to us. You know, um, Maybe that will be announced at E3. I don't know. I really don't know. Um, if it is real, which I really hope it's not, but there's so many rumors that it's pretty much all but confirmed, is the Mario and Rabbids game, which, uh, why Rabbids? I mean, you could pick, if the only franchises you could pick, why choose the Rabbids? I mean, they're pretty much an obnoxious series that, a lot of people don't even like. And, you know, it's turn up the noses of some people, myself included. Um, I'm not a big Mario RPG person, but I definitely wouldn't buy this new game just because of the rabbits. I mean, you could say that it has great gameplay, but it's rabbits. I mean, they killed Rayman, um, as in the franchise, but you know, uh, I don't know. Now, one thing that, which has been alluded to, which I'm still not sure is going to happen or not, is the possibility of Metroid. And not only that, but two Metroid games. So there's always that, but no, I'm not sure about that. I was before those rumors were even mentioned, I was hoping, but I'm taking this with a grain of salt, and I am not going to, believe anything until um, the actual E3 announcement is made. Now, moving on to third-party uh, developers. The first one up is Square Enix, and since uh, Kingdom Hearts 3 has been announced to be released within the fiscal year of 2018, then I definitely believe that there will be some sort of announcement, and we'll have videos and stuff and new gameplay footage, and especially since content was cut out from the game, it's to speed up the production time. Uh, that will definitely be there. Of course, it's going to be for the PlayStation 4, and depending on how Square is feeling, it could be for the Xbox One still. But I actually still believe now, even though, we do not know anything, it could be for the Switch, especially since, Square Enix is, trying to do some stuff with Nintendo, and it's on Unreal Engine 4, which also was one of the things, like, Nintendo said there were like 20 games made by Japanese developers which use Unreal Engine 4, and that could be one of them. We do not know. I definitely have a feeling that this is more likely a game that will be brought over to the Switch than, say, Final Fantasy VII, which I also believe will be announced, or at least will be shown more stuff at E3. Maybe, maybe it won't be ready as soon as Kingdom Hearts 3, but I definitely believe that we'll get something there. Avengers could make an appearance. There could be some mentioning of Avengers. I don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. My best bet is that it's going to be for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. That's my best bet. I don't actually believe that's going to be announced for the Switch, just because of the fact that I don't think that Nintendo's big enough yet for uh, to earn. Well, not earn per se, but I don't think they're big enough that Square's going to bother porting it over to the Switch. Now, here's something which is sort of like a hope for me that I have, is that they'll announce that Nier Automata is going to be ported to the Switch. Well, not that, but they'll fund it for Platinum Games to port it over, because Platinum said that they would do it if Square Enix paid the bill. So that would be a good time for them to announce it. You know, that's a good time for them to get money from Nintendo, because personally believe that a lot of Nintendo fans will buy Nier Automata, who liked the game but just didn't have a PS4 or Steam. I definitely believe that the fan base is there and that they will purchase it. Now for Bandai Namco, Code Vein will be there. I have pretty much almost 100% faith that it will be there. We'll definitely get more information, details for the game. We'll be able to see, I guess maybe some sort of announcement of like a guesstimation of when it's going to be released. We'll definitely know all the platforms that's going to be on. Um, Most likely will be on pretty much almost every platform. Although I'm skeptical about the Switch, it could be there, could not be there. I am not sure about that. Um, Gundam Versus, I think, will be there. It's the Gundam Versus for PS4. I definitely have hopes that it will be announced. Well, I definitely believe it will be announced there because that's gonna be a pretty big game because Gundam Versus is big enough here that people are importing it from Japan to play it. And it's a game that I would import myself to play here in the States. Now, there was rumor that there's going to be a new Tales of game, and E3 would be a good time, just to mention what it's going to be. If it's a new game, if it's going to be a remaster of an older game, that would be a good time, and I believe that would be when they're going to do it. And this is something which at first I wasn't sure why we haven't heard anything about this, but I've come up with a theory as to why this is occurring, and I believe that the reason why we haven't heard anything about Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 for the Switch is the fact that it's also getting sort of a uh, deluxe edition, so to speak, because before it was removed from Nintendo's website and even the Nintendo of Europe's website, it was simply called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 tentative title. Now, if you look at something like, say, Skyrim or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or, I think Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or other games like that, their titles were clearly there. I mean, even though, there's games which we don't know, even though these are ports and stuff, we knew what they were. Um, but it was just tentative title for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and I believe that when it's going to be released sometime later this year, maybe like winter, and it's going to get all of the DLC packs that were and are released now. So all the characters and stuff that's going to be included onto the game, and if it is like that, and it is announced to be like my theory is predicting, then I am comfortable and I am fine with the delays that they've had because I was kept asking myself, why is a game that we've known about for a long time being released way after after it was already released for the PS4 and Xbox One. Um, but this would be a good reason why, because the DLC wasn't even out yet, but it's supposed to be out for. It's going to be included into into the full game itself, and so that is definitely a reason why I believe it will be. And the other thing that I think could be there is Dark Souls for the Switch. Now, it's not. I'm not sure if it's going to be a trilogy sort of bundle or if it's just going to be three. But to be honest, I would be happy with just three. It, it's like I said, they were able to run it successfully on the Switch, but I just don't know. We don't know if they're actually going to fall through uh, with their plans to put it to the Switch. So we'll just have to wait and see. Um, Now, Bethesda, I'm not too familiar with what Bethesda games and what they do and their franchises. So the only things I could possibly think about uh, is the possibility of a new Fallout game or something related to Fallout that's announced, and the fact that we might get more details for Skyrim on the Switch. Is it going to be the original? Is it going to be the remastered version? That stuff's going to be introduced and announced there. but like I said, this is just speculation. I have no idea what's actually going to happen. Now, Activision is going to bring Call of Duty World War II there. No question about that one. They're going to have announcements and stuff like that. There will probably be maybe a little bit of demo. Maybe there may be a couple of demos, but it's definitely going to be there, regardless, I believe. Now, there's a possibility that they could also bring Destiny 2 and announce that, but I'm not sure, especially considering the fact that these are two big hitting franchises. I'm just not sure if they'll both be announced or if they're even ready to announce anything for Destiny 2. But we'll just have to wait and see. Capcom has a lot of stuff that they could do, but I'm it's also, not sure. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite will definitely be there. Hopefully they'll announce more characters. Hopefully they'll announce X-Men characters. That's something which has been a bit of a concern for me and a lot of other fans of the series. Is the fact that there could be X-Men in the game, there could not be X-Men. Hopefully, we'll have a substantial roster. So it won't be something like, say, Street Fighter V with that scenario. Um, Hopefully, but we'll just have to wait and see on that end. Monster Hunter is something that I would love to see, especially if they're going to release it for the Switch, which would be possibly in their best interest, especially if they're thinking about Japan, where the Switch is a mobile game as well as a console. So they will make money off of that. Seriously. So, it, and hopefully it's a new game. It's not something that's gonna be a port. It's something that that the Switch won't have to worry about. Some sort of game. Like, even though these are fun games, but like Generations, where if they have sort of an open world and stuff like that, that would be nice. Um, Although I don't think open world has been, or at least a complete open world, is something that Monster Hunter has been known for. But it's something that would be interesting. Um, and I would like to see more Mega Man. Even though they've announced the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, I want to see a new Mega Man game, whether it's original Mega Man X. I love X in particular, like an X9. Maybe going back to its 2D roots. I would love to see that, but I don't know. This is just a personal thing that I want to see. I don't think there's gonna be anything Mega Man related there. Um, and there's also the possibility, which it could go either way. It's one of those things where you hope for the best but prepare for the worst. Is some sort of Resident Evil on the Switch? Since Capcom worked closely with Nintendo, and there could be a possibility of some sort of Resident Evil game being made for it. Uh, I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but I just feel something like it's something that could happen. I'm not saying it will, but it could happen. I also have a feeling that EA will also make an appearance with Star Wars Battlefront 2, and that they're going to have some gameplay footage. We're going to get some more information regarding like the storyline, even though it's supposed to be original and stuff like that. We'll be able to see more of the style, how it functions and operates, and more information regarding that. You know, maybe we'll have additional characters. Of course, they might. I don't think they're going to do that, but they might, you know, maybe briefly mention something about later on down the road DLC stuff like that. But we'll just have to wait and see on that. And these are things which they've also, mentioned and stuff about being under development, and that's I think FE and Sea of Solitude. Now, I don't know anything about these two games, but I know there's something that they've been working on. So maybe we might see something at E3 regarding those games. Uh, Ubisoft, uh, they're really going through some tough times right now with that Vivendi trying to buy them out, but I think I have a feeling that they might bring Assassin's Creed over. There have been leaks, rumors about Assassin's Creed. I can't remember what the original title was going to be, but now the new rumors that's going to be titled Assassin's Creed Origins. Um, that takes place in Egypt. So, and that there have also been like some images and gameplay footage leaks. I haven't seen either of those, or at least not yet. But I have a feeling that if the game does exist, they will announce it then because um, they took a break from Assassin's Creed, and I think they're definitely going to return this year, or at least with an announcement. Um, if it does come out, it might come out. I don't know. It'll probably come out either say like November, December, or January, February. Somewhere between November and February, I believe, is when it will come out if it does exist. And they also might do something a little bit of Far Cry, because even though it was announced that it had nothing to do with it, there was that image I think from Far Cry 3, and they might be doing something with that. Well, not doing something with Far Cry 3 specifically, but with Far Cry in general. So there could be something that's announced or mentioned at E3 that we don't know about, or we know about as far as it actually happening, but might be a remaster or something like that. But again, that's just a speculation. That's not something that I think will happen. But something that could happen. Um, and the last company is Warner Brothers Games. Now, I think by and large, we both know that it's going to be Shadow of Mordor. That's going to be something that's going to be announced. There's going to be some gameplay footage. We might have some demos there for people to play, but that's pretty much, I think, the big heavy hitter that's going to be occurring. Um, no, we might get a Lego game mentioned or something like that, but I think that's going to be their main focus. And even though this is uh, just the dying ashes of hope, it's still my hope that there could be some sort of Batman game, whether it's the Arkham Insurgency, whether it's the Arkham Apocalypse that was rumored beforehand, or even if it's like some sort of Arkham uh, port for the Switch. I would sort of be happy for any sort of Batman news just because I'm that much of a Batman fan. Now, you could be saying yes, but we need to get other superheroes out there into the fray. I've heard people want a Flash game. I've heard Green Arrow game, actually. That's pretty interesting, the fact that Green Arrow is building up an install base. I'm not sure if it's because of the Arrow series, um, which it could be mostly due to that, or maybe, it's the fact that, the Injustice games, he's been getting a larger spotlight shined upon him. But you know, he's definitely getting a larger fan base now. And there's also, the desire for a good Superman game, because there really um there aren't really too many there aren't any great Superman games. There are uh decent Superman games like Superman, I think Shadow of Apocalypse on the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. That was a decent game. It was based on the animated series. That was pretty decent. I mean, it wasn't a great game, but it's by and large one of the best Superman games that were ever made. Because in fact, that most of them have been pretty much garbage. But so there's definitely a desire to have a good Superman game. But I definitely feel that now's not the time. There's still so much Batman hype and craze that it would probably be in their best interest, just because the money will they will literally print money by making this is another Batman game. And you know I'm really I'm really hoping for this. Um, but like I said, that's just my hope and guess and speculation. But that's pretty much it. Let me know what you all think about this entire discussion, spiel, or whatever. Um, Let me know what games and stuff from other companies, which I didn't mention, will be announced there. Let me know if there's something I missed. during this discussion, or do you think have your own opinions about stuff which will be announced? Let me know in the comments below. I would like to read them and even discuss amongst the comments with you all on that. So that is all. Have a great one. I am iamxeracon signing off.